Hello. It's very hot today, and I'm here to show you how I set up my self-watering systems. I started using these self-watering systems years back, and I've slowly learned a few bits and pieces about how to work with them. They're basically similar to what a quad grow is, but I think they work better because unlike the quad grow, they have bigger reservoirs for each container, and also on top of that you can actually set up a system that allows you to grow much larger, more thirsty plants without having to constantly refill the reservoirs. So here we go. Let me start by showing you what I've already got set up, and then I'll go on to how to set one up. So before you hear, I've got the quad grows. I bought these about a couple of years ago, and I decided to buy them because I wanted to try them out, and I found that for tomatoes they're a little bit small because obviously tomatoes spread, and in addition to that they require a lot of water. So each of these quad grow containers has about, I think it's about 30 liters. So when if you were to have more than one tomato in that setup, then you'll be filling that reservoir every few days, especially in the heat of the summer. So I now use them for peppers. My peppers are being mullered, and it works. They'll survive. They look unhappy right now, but I'll add some feed to it, and it will actually work. What I forgot to say is the advantage of these self-watering systems is you can add feed to your water, and that way you don't need to worry about feeding from the top. And the other advantage of them, just like with the quad grows, is the fact that the capillary attraction works to constantly maintain the right level of moisture in the soil, so you have no risk of overwatering or underwatering them. So that's another advantage. Behind these quad grows is my to-be tomato jungle, and every single one of those has actually recently been replaced. Prior to that, a lot of my tomatoes were sat on a 30-liter container like this, and it worked, but once again I found that 30 liters was not enough for just one tomato plant. So over the winter I thought long and hard and decided that I was going to change them up. Initially it's costly, but ultimately the effort is taken out of your busiest and hottest time of the year, because you do not have to water as frequently. So what I do is I bore holes in the bottom of these containers. Let me use this one in the back, and I have a lead, a microfiber cloth leading from the pot itself into, as you can see, there's a pot microfiber lead there, and it leads into the pot and into the container of water. And this one I want to push further in. Sorry. So what I do is I bore a hole in the pot, put some wicking material into it, and take it down into the reservoir, making sure that the bottom of it will hit the bottom of that reservoir, in order that when there's very little water left, it will still work as good as it should. Let me see if I can flip this slightly in order to show you what I've done here. As you can see, there's my wicking material there, and it's working absolutely fantastic to keep this pot watered. And in addition to that, I bored holes into the front of this container because it's slightly slanted, and the logic behind that is when it rains, water will go into the pot and then slide down, and I want it to be captured into the reservoir itself, so that sometimes when we have a lot of rain, they're filled with rainwater, which is fantastic for plants, so I'm not constantly having to worry about watering. Okay, now I've shown you a bit of, oh yeah, let me show you this as well. So if you work with fabric pots, the method is exactly the same, but in this case what you do is, once again, I've got my hose bored at the front to allow water to trickle down in whenever it rains. But in addition to that, with this one, all I did was I put wicking material into the container, and then I sit it on top. And then because this is a fabric pot, you just sit the fabric pot on top, and that's enough to keep the plant watered. So those are that. Now I'm about to do an experiment with my remaining sweet potato, which is still producing slips. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a pot for it to grow on, and I'm going to make it a self-watering pot. So I've got my old 30-litre container over here, and this is the pot I'm going to use. I have already put a wicking material in there, and it's coming out the bottom. So once the cover is on, I'll push. You see, I've got another one in there that's going to go on. I'll push the material into the cover, and then it will sit on there like that, and in that way it will water the plant. So let me just fill this with soil, put my sweet potato in, and then we'll put it together. Something I forgot to say is I also use these holes that actually capture rainwater to refill the reservoirs if we don't have enough rain to fill them. So they are large enough to fit my hose pipe, and I just plug it in, fill one at a time, and that's it. Nice and easy. Right. Before I add the soil, I'm just going to add this into holes which I've already drilled in the back of here. So I'm just going to add the second wick. So there'll be 2 wicks going into the pot. So it's just a matter of pushing it in and pulling it through on the other side. I'm maintaining some level of length. So as you can see on this side, we've got 2 wicks now. I'm just going to surround them with soil. And what I don't do is I don't take the wicks all the way to the top, which is something that I see a lot of people doing with their quad grows. The reason being, when you take it all the way to the top, the soil all the way to the top will be wet, and therefore you'll have more evaporation. So what I do is I leave it slightly lower down, up to about here, and it will still get this soil wet, but not overly so. And the top will remain dry enough that it will not encourage slugs and snails to make this their home. Okay, let me get on and do this now.
I get dressed up to go downtown. I'm all messed up on a Friday night. Not really here for a good time, but if you're up for drinks and a good crowd, raise your glass to the sky. Let's toast to that. All these people can stare. I don't care about that. This is my pity party. I'm gonna cry all night, and I'll flip the bird at the guys. I don't need nobody. This is my pity party.
I'm now going to sit the pot on top of its self-watering system, and I'll leave the magical capillary attraction to work to pull water into the pot. I'm not going to add any more. I'm not going to water it from the top, but over time it will start to water itself. So I'm going to turn it this way for no reason other than so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, this one will need another hole through which I can water it, but for now these old pots worked well like this, so I'm not worried about it. Okay, and now we get this other side. It's quite heavy, so I have to be careful whilst maintaining that. So, oh, that's better. It's easier when I'm sat down. Should I have turned it round? I don't know. Let's see. There we go. And this one as close in as possible. And then, and this sits perfectly on top of that. Isn't that brilliant? So yeah, so it's all set up. This is a self-watering system with a 30-litre reservoir for this pot. So the only disadvantage of this pot is the fact that there's no way for me to set up a system that tells me how much water is left. My plan is to do something to show me when the reservoir is low, but that's in the offing. I need to do it and then I'll show you what it looks like. It's a very simple system and I'm sure a lot of other people have done it. So yeah, this is my sweet potato experiment, which I've now used to show you how to water your plants without having to do the watering daily. I hope that's helpful. I hope it makes sense. And if you do have any questions, please do let me know. Okay, I was all done because I thought I was done. But then I thought I'll show you how this is a, what's it called? Dirt pot. I got them from Amazon. I got them specifically because I wanted a bigger pot, a bigger fabric pot, and I'm going to set it up on one of the other self-watering system buckets. And as I told you, I actually just, this one doesn't need a hole. All you do is you sit this on the fabric, the wicking fabric, which is sat on top. Let me just show you, and then it will suck up the water by itself. Let me just show you. Okay, so I've just filled this bucket with water, and just like with the other one, I've got a wick going into the water. Don't worry about the color. The color is from previous feeds that we put in there. So this is sitting on top of that. So in here you got that, and then you sit this on top and it will be enough to suck the water up. As you can see the wetness. So then I'll sit my pot on top when it's full and it will suck the water up into the pot, and that will be it. That is the simplicity of our self-watering system when you use a fabric pot. So now I'm going to set it up for that one sweet potato slip, and we shall see whether or not we get a decent harvest from it. All right, let me get on and do that now.
I'll get dressed up to go downtown. I'm all messed up on a Friday night.
So that's done. And as you can see, I've marked the top to reduce evaporation. And when the sweet potato takes and starts to grow more, I'll actually earth it up more to hopefully get more produce. All right, that's me done for today. I'm off to go work on the allotment. I've got a lot to do, but I won't be recording. Probably I'll try and do a tour for you and send it as a separate section, but this was specifically on request how I do my self-watering systems. So I think I've shown you all of them except for that one. These ones are just sat in buckets and they've got wicking material from the bucket into the pot, and that is how they work. So all I need to do is lift the pot up. In fact, this one I don't even have to lift because there's a little lip there where I can push the watering pipe in and fill it up, and those work just as well. All right, have a good Sunday.
Is when I come back strong. Raise your glass to the sky. Let's toast to